Hey guys, so we are adding to our thinking right now. So we should have already copied and pasted our introduction, our body paragraphs, and our conclusion from our Google form. So now we are working on drafting our essay. So we're going to write our essay and see what we need to change. So we're going to start by copying and pasting our introduction. So I'm going to copy this first sentence right here. I'm going to hit copy. I'm going to go over here to slide 8. I'm going to erase this stuff because I don't really need it anymore. I'm going to change the size. Actually, no, I'm not right now. And then I'm just going to hit paste. All right, so I have that part, but I need my thesis part of my introduction. So I need to go back and I need to copy my thesis. So I'm going to copy this. Now, before I move on, this is supposed to be my first body paragraph, and it looks pretty short. I also know that there's some things that I'm gonna need to add because I wasn't able to add things in my Google form. So we're adding to our thinking to make it sound better. So far, our introduction says, there was a foul smell in the air. Cats were dropping dead. Mosquitoes were everywhere. People are getting sick in Philadelphia. Remember, this is my introduction. That's what it says. So if I go back to my essay prompt, it says, in August 1793, all was not right in Philadelphia, and many people were dying from a fever. Write an essay that describes the symptoms and causes of this fever and the doctor's disagreements surrounding it. Use several facts, examples, and details from an American plague and a credible internet source. Include a relevant caption in your essay. And if I go back to what I wrote, there was a foul smell in the air, cats were dropping dead, mosquitoes were everywhere, people were getting sick in Philadelphia. I don't know if that introduces what I'm trying to say too much. So we're going to add to make it better. One thing I want to do is I want to take the beginning of this prompt. In August 1793, all was not right in Philadelphia. I just like the sound of that. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste that into the beginning of my essay. So I'm going to start my essay with that. If you want to start your essay with that, you can do that as well. This is a lot bigger than what I have. Let me just make all of this text the size. Well, here we go. Okay, so far it says, in August 1793, all was not right in Philadelphia. There was a foul smell in the air. Well, let me add to that. There was a foul smell in the air. There was a foul smell from rotten coffee. So let me add from rotten coffee. Okay, cats were dropping dead. Why were these cats dropping dead? I think they were dropping dead because of the terrible smell. Cats were dropping dead because they could not handle the terrible smell of the city. Mosquitoes were everywhere. I want to add to the sentence, mosquitoes usually come around water. They like water and they like the heat. And it was very hot and there were a lot of like soup puddles of dead animals, like water puddles of dead animals around the city. So I'm going to add that mosquitoes were everywhere because of the heat and the disgusting soup puddles of dead animals. All right. And then it says people are getting sick in Philadelphia. That's my thesis. I want to add to it a little bit. People are getting sick in Philadelphia, but do they know the cause of the sickness? No, they don't. So people are getting sick in Philadelphia, but no one knows why. Okay, let's read my introduction now. In August 1793, all was not right in Philadelphia. There was a foul smell in the air from rotten coffee. Cats were dropping dead because they could not handle the terrible smell of the city. Mosquitoes were everywhere because of the heat and the disgusting soup puddles of the dead animals. People are getting sick in Philadelphia, but no one knows why. Ooh, I like that, guys. Okay, so now I have my introduction paragraph, but now I got to start with my body paragraph. So I got to go to my body paragraph, and this is my first body paragraph. I got to copy my main idea of people getting sick. Let me paste it. I need to get my supporting details. I need a copy. And I need to paste. All right, so I have my supporting details and everything. I'm gonna put it all on the same line. That way I know what I'm working with, make sure I have my periods. And so what I'm about to do is make this bigger. I want this size 14 on or size 12 on everything. That way I can see it better. So right now we just have, people had no idea why they were getting sick. The sickness began with chills, headache, and a painful aching in the back, arms, and legs. Skin and eyeballs turn yellow. That's good information, but I'm not explaining any of this information. And I'm not supposed to put quotes next to each other. So we got to add to our thinking in this body paragraph to make sure our readers know what's going on. So I'm going to start with my main idea. It said people had no idea why they were getting sick. Actually, I think that's pretty decent. I think that's a pretty decent sentence. I think I can add a sentence behind it. So people had no idea why they were getting sick. And several people in the city started having symptoms. And let's say fever-like symptoms, because they're having fever-like symptoms. Okay, the sickness began with chills, headache, and painful aching in the arms and legs. Okay, so I can add to this. So I know that they started having these symptoms right here, like a chills, like headache, painful aching. I want to add and say that they had a high fever. And the fever would actually break and then it would come back. So they had a fever that broke after a few days and returned. It's like they would go at like 102. For 3 days straight, they're at 102. Then it would go back down to like 97. And they think they're okay. Then it shoots right back up at 102. Okay. The skin and eyeballs turned yellow. So I know that their skin and their eyeballs are turning yellow from the fever, and then soon they die. So I'm going to put that the fever changed the color of their skin and people soon died. I think that's good for right now. We're going to edit it later. So people had no idea why they were getting sick. Several people in the city started having fever-like symptoms. The sickness began with chills, headache, and a painful aching in the arms and legs. They had a high fever that broke after a few days and returned. The skin and eyeballs turned yellow. The fever changed the color of the skin and people soon died. Perfect. So now we're going to our next body paragraph. We're talking about the doctor's disagreements. So let me copy this and paste it. Go into my next ones with my evidence, and I'm going to copy these and I'm going to paste them. All right, make sure I have my periods. Okay, here's what we have so far. Dr. Rush and Dr. Curry had different beliefs about the fever. Benjamin Rush believed they were facing yellow fever and that it had a local cause, the stagnant, foul-smelling air that infected Philadelphia all summer. Curry agreed that there was a terrible fever infecting the city, but he simply did not think it was yellow fever. Okay, remember we got to add to this. So Dr. Rush and Dr. Curry had different beliefs about the fever. I know that their colleagues were 50-50. So their colleagues were divided between the two doctors' ideas. I think that sounds good to me. Okay. Benjamin Rush believed they were facing yellow fever and that it had a local cause, the stagnant, foul smelling air that had infected Philadelphia all summer. Right. I remember that Rush said it was because of the coffee. So Dr. Rush thought the cause was the coffee, the rotten coffee that filled the air. Okay. Curry agreed that there was a terrible fever infecting the city, but he simply did not think it was yellow fever. I know that Dr. Curry thought that they were getting sick from the Santa Dominions that were coming in and that people should quarantine. So I'm going to add that. So Dr. Curry believed the fever had come in from the refugees. That's what they're called, refugees. And that the sick should be quarantined. All right, so that's that paragraph. Now we're on to our conclusion. So let me copy what we have down here. All right, let me make this a little bigger. Size 12. People were dying in Philadelphia. People were getting extremely sick and sometimes died. I didn't make that bigger. And sometimes died. The doctors' disagreements caused more panic. All was not well in Philadelphia. Okay, I know that this just sounds terrible. I know that all of this that I just wrote, it does not sound too good. I mean, it's good ideas, but I need to add to it. So people were dying in Philadelphia because of this unknown fever. That's what I'm gonna add, because they didn't know what the fever was. People were getting extremely sick and sometimes died. I think that they would actually die. So people were getting sick, extremely sick, and would die soon after. I think that sounds better. The doctors' disagreements caused more panics. Let's say the doctors disagreed about the cause of the fever, which caused more panic, All was not well in Philadelphia because people were dying, people were dying and fleeing the city. And I think I'm gonna leave it at that. Okay, so let's go back to our essay prompt and make sure we answered everything. So we're supposed to make sure that write an essay that describes the symptoms, causes of this fever, and the doctor's disagreements surrounding it. So let's see. I have my symptoms right here because I had that whole paragraph about the symptoms. I have my disagreements right here, and I even have some causes that our doctors believe. Yeah, so I think we're good. So let's just read it all the way through and make sure it sounds good. In August 1793, all was not right in Philadelphia. There is a foul smell in the air from rotten coffee. Cats were dropping dead because they could not handle the terrible smell of the city. Mosquitoes were everywhere because of the heat and the disgusting soup puddles of dead animals. People are getting sick in Philadelphia, but no one knows why. People had no idea why they were getting sick. Several people in the city started having fever like symptoms. The sickness began with chills, headache, and a painful aching in the back, arms, and legs. They had a high fever that broke after a few days and returned. The skin and eyeballs turned yellow. The fever changed the color of their skin, and people soon died. Dr. Rush and Dr. Curry had different beliefs about the fever. Their colleagues were divided between the two doctors' ideas. Benjamin Rush believed they were facing yellow fever and that it had a local cause, the stagnant, foul smelling air that infected Philadelphia all summer. Dr. Rush thought the cause was the rotten coffee that filled the air. Curry agreed that there was a terrible fever infecting the city, but he simply did not think it was yellow fever. Dr. Curry believed the fever had come in from the refugees and that the sick should be quarantined. People were dying in Philadelphia because of this unknown fever. People were extremely sick and would die soon after. The doctors disagreed about the cause of fever, which caused more panic. All was not well in Philadelphia because people were dying and fleeing the city. Y'all, I think that is perfect. This is a beautiful essay. So, what I want y'all to do, your next steps is to go to your essay and add to your thinking, just like I added to my thinking. Your essay should not look just like mine. Your essay should have your own thoughts to it. I know that you used some of my ideas when it came to the mapping because I gave y'all those ideas, right? I understand that some of your ideas are going to be similar to mine because we read the same thing, but it should not be exactly like mine. It should be in your own words. So, what I want y'all to do is do the same thing I did. I want you to copy and paste from your introduction, and I want you to go to slide 8, copy it here, and add to your thinking.